insight, and a passion for financial management. They are here to break down complex topics, share proven strategies, and most importantly, help you walk away with the confidence to make your money move with purpose and power. So I encourage you this evening to lean in, take notes, ask questions, engage with the ideas and the people who will be sharing the space with you this evening. Because this isn't just about what you learn, it's about what you do with that knowledge. Let's make this evening one to step into a new level of financial clarity and control. Thank you so much once again.
At this time, I invite Mr. Percival Roberts to come forward. He's the president of the Money Movers. He'll be presenting an overview and acknowledgement. He has been an integral part of the planning team and has been understanding of today's objectives and outcome. Percival.
Please make him welcome.
Good evening, everyone. So for this evening's program, we feature 4 dynamic speakers which bring in a unique perspective on money management, from budgeting to saving and investing and even wealth building. You will also hear stories of financial resilience. You will learn practical tips, and you'll get the chance to ask questions about how you can master your money. We want to extend our heartfelt thank you to the planning committee, so that looked at the heads of each department, from logistics to the technical team to marketing. We want to say a heartfelt thank you for your dedication in making this event a reality today. To our guest speakers, we want to thank you for your time. We know that it is extremely valuable, and we want to thank you for the wealth of experience and knowledge that you will bring today at our forum. To the audience, both online and in person, we want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to come and give us the support for our forum. And finally, to our lecturer, Miss Diana Shakes, who is here with us, we want to say thank you so much, Miss, for instilling the knowledge in us so that we can come today and execute this event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roberts. Ladies and gentlemen, this evening's topic is a topic that many overlook until it's too late. It is one that shapes the lives and future of many. Insurance. And our speaker is a true leader in the field. He is a top-tier financial advisor with Sagicor Life Jamaica, ranked in the elite top 0.1% of over 2,000 advisors nationwide. As a $1 million roundtable court of the table qualifier, he is among the top 1% of financial advisors globally. Beyond his professional excellence, he is a devoted Christian who attributes his success to Jesus Christ and lives by the belief that ultimate accountability lies with God. Get ready to be inspired. Please welcome the phenomenal Granville Knight.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me first say thank you to the Money Movers team for having me here today. And I want to welcome all my presenters. But I want to tell you something. Tonight is very interesting because my financial career started while I was still a pharmacy student here at UTech. And that all happened because that gentleman, Mr. Shamar Clarke, gave me the invitation while I was still here. So it's funny how life has come full circle. And of course, as a pharmacy student, I would have stood here many times and give many C and B plus presentations. But tonight we're here to talk about insurance. And while they're getting ready, there are three things that tonight I'll be looking at, just for you to understand what we're looking at as it relates to insurance. One, I'll just give you a brief perspective of what I believe wealth is. Then we're looking at the principles of life insurance, some of the basic principles. And then also we'll look at some of the real life examples as to how my clients have utilized insurance. But as with all things, I know you guys prayed already, but I've learned to always whisper a little word of prayer before I begin. So let's pray. Father in heaven, may that which I have to say today be sufficient to the people to educate, to guide, and that the principles that will be shared today will be instilled with them for them to make the right financial decisions going forward. I want to thank you for this wonderful program, and I pray that it continues to gather success. In Christ's name I pray. Amen. Question, and not to any of the financial advice. What is wealth? Can someone answer that for me? What is wealth? Acquisition of assets. All right. Someone from the audience. Yes, miss. What is wealth? Well, let me answer that question. Nobody don't want for rich. Okay, what is riches? What is richness? What does it mean to be rich? Tell me. Talk to me. Repeat that. Having abundance of cash. Is there a numerical figure to this abundance? Having assets. Okay, all right. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. It's enough money, pretty much. All right. All right, so there are three things that are affiliated with me. So there's GK Trusted, you know, that's me. And then, of course, I work with Sagicor Life. But I also operate my own business, which is a financial education business, which pretty much powers something called the School of Wealth. So we'll be learning more about that. So I'm a financial advisor with Sagicor, and to my clients outside of Sagicor, I'm a coach and educator as well. All right? I don't remember how to use these things here. You know. How you change these slides? Can someone assist me with this, please? Or it's not changed from here? Repeat that? But can it be controlled from here? No? Okay, all right, that's fine. All right, so the first question I asked was wealth. You know, so recently I was very troubled because I'm like, what really is wealth? And you know, I'm thinking about it from the financial perspective, everything that I've learned over the last 6 years as a financial advisor, and also what the Bible says. And so this is the definition. Wealth is first a system of obtaining, sustaining, and the distribution of money, right? Because first of all, you have to earn it. You have to create avenues for having it. And then, of course, you have to learn how to keep it. But here's the thing about wealth. It is not stagnant, so you must learn how to also distribute it. And if you look at corporations, you see, for example, Sagicor sells insurance, but you realize that they ensure that, you know, salaries for staff are kept at a certain level, their expenses are kept at a certain level, but also distribute it in terms of compensation to the staff, as well as giving back, such as, think about it, the Sagicor 5K, right? The Sigma Road. So it's money is a system, which means that the difference between a system and anything else is that most things are just linear. It goes and stops. There's an end point. With wealth, there is no end point. And so it also has to do with advancing the life of the steward, which is the person who is managing the wealth. And you must recognize that you are money managers until the day you die, because you cannot take it with you. And also the beneficiaries, the persons who are going to benefit from having wealth. Do you understand that? Because, and what I want to get from this definition is that wealth isn't just about you. It's a part of the culture. and the system that you're a part of. I always say, oh, the system corrupt, which means that we agree that there is a system, which means that we have a role to play in that system. Now, anyone inside here married? Well, I'm not talking to the older persons, but to the students particularly. Are in a relationship? All right, think about it. How has your perception of relationship changed over the last couple of years? Think about it from your first go crush in basic school to high school. It changed, right? And if you look at relationships move from, just asking to change slide for me, please. It moved from a stage where, you know, I've been in college, so I know a lot of us used to just date because, hey, the girl look good, or, well, I don't know, probably assume that the ladies say guys look good. But it starts with intimacy, you know, because I like you, then it's all about romance. But then as you get more serious, you realize that, hey, you know, it's about creating a family. Then after that, you realize that it's about creating a legacy. And that's the thing about wealth as well. Wealth is like a relationship. And you realize that as you get older, and as you begin to, if you don't get the right financial education from early, you're going to pick up too late what wealth is really about. Can you imagine someone who is at the age of 80 and realize, oh, relationship is not just about, or rather, let's say at age 60, relationship is not just about having sex, it's about ensuring that you have a lifelong partner. Or you live your retirement years in sorrow. So wealth and marriage are very similar. And what are the key things that are present? First of all, wealth is created. Wealth can be created. The Bible tells us, and God says that, listen, it is I who give you the power to create wealth. And that is found in the book of Deuteronomy. And it says that in Ecclesiastes, it says that all men gets the opportunity to create wealth. Every man, and I want to say this to you, everyone will or have gotten an opportunity to create a degree of wealth. Right? The next thing is that it is built on service. In a relationship, you serve each other. Likewise, if you are going to create wealth, it's about creating and serving others. Once it's power given by God, as I said before. Once again, it's a continuous system and not an event. So you say it's an abundance of money. Someone says it's infinite. So someone who is focused on wealth is not so much focused on having a figure amount. They realize that I want to continue to produce. One, because it benefits me and it benefits others. It should last forever, right? It says only good salvation lasts forever, but the Bible tells us that the money that we get, we are going to manage, and God is going to ask us to give an account when he returns, which means that wealth should last forever, which means that it's beyond just your years. And with life insurance, you're going to realize how easy that is. And of course, wealth is law-based. There are certain laws, and we're going to look at those things now. We are here to talk about insurance. I'm just giving you the basics so you understand the principles on which I'm going to speak on later. And more than importantly, you can lose it. You can lose a good spouse. You can also lose your wealth. All right? Now, generally, wealth is a combination of two things. There are tools and there are phases. Everyone goes through a different phase in their life as it relates to the money. And what you find is that these are all the tools that you will use throughout each phase. Most of these will be utilized in all phases. For example, your foundational years. So immediate years following after you leave UTech, those are your foundational years. And you set the foundation as quickly as possible. And key part of that is life insurance. And then once you have built the foundation, because when you talk about wealth building, we are not talking about the verb of building, if I saw them call it, or adverb. Sorry, I wasn't really good in English. But we are talking about the noun. It is an actual building, and no building can be built without a foundation, right? And then the things that you build, your assets and those things will be the walls, the things that you build up. And of course, you learn how to preserve it, because what is going to happen is that your capacity to generate a certain amount of money, despite how good your systems are limited, and you're going to learn how to preserve that money so that after you have stopped accumulating, you can keep that. And unfortunately, none of us are here to stay forever. I was speaking to a client yesterday, and I'm trying to sell insurance. I say, somebody just go and pay this life insurance and have no benefit from me. Say, Mr. One thing me sure about, 100% guarantee you're going dead. And she was like, you can't say that. I'm saying, which person you know get out alive? No one. So that is 100% guaranteed, which means that you must put systems in place to what? Distribute your money and ensure it goes to the right places. Right? So the tools quickly, investments, insurances, and insurances are many, just as how investments are many. Your emergency fund, your saving, wills, and we'll cover all those legal things. And all of those things, in whatever different capacity or category you have it, they will be utilized, all right? Now, one of the key things I want to take away from here, the key points, is one, having the tools is not enough. I have clients who say, oh, I have insurance, so I'm good, but they are not creating any wealth. I have clients who say, I have some investments, but they are not creating the wealth. Having tools is not an indication that you are building wealth. It just means that you have the tools, right? You must put the tools to work. And so the tools must be used appropriately for each phase. And most importantly, you must have a written plan, and that's why financial planning is important. Next slide, please. That's a commercial break. We'll talk about this, but you can follow me on all social media as, come on, our presenter. This is how it's done on all stages. You should know this, right? So, yeah, the whole work. So let's now look at insurance. What is it? Can someone tell me what insurance is? Go back. Yeah, I think kind of fast. What is insurance? Someone tell me. You drive? What is insurance? Yes, please. All right, it's a scam. So in 2021, I took it upon myself to buy a brand new car, because I was making all this money. November 2021, I bought a brand new 2022 car. April, 2 days before my birthday, someone drove out on me on Constant Spring Road. The car cost almost $10 million to fix. I haven't spent a dime out of pocket. Is that a scam? If someone pays $10 million to fix a problem that you are involved in, is that a scam? Good. Next thing, I have a client, I'm just coming from Mobile actually, sold her a critical illness policy for $2.5 million when I just started in the business, which was around 3 years ago. She's now diagnosed with stage 3 ovarian cancer. She has a check of $2.5 million to collect next week. She has only paid probably around $100,000 worth of premium. $100,000 for $2.5 million. Does that sound like a scam? Okay. I have many more stories to tell. So, what is insurance? Let's go. So, insurance is a transfer of risk, the risk of financial loss, from you to the insurance company. When it comes down to motor vehicle, when it comes down to sickness, these things will cripple your finances. I had a client who came to buy some insurance last year. And we're going through finances, and I'm saying, you make good money. Why isn't that you haven't acquired a home? I said, she said, oh, I had my savings and I was in the process of buying my house, but mom took sick and mom passed away, so she had to use up the money for deal with all the chemo treatments, but she still didn't survive the cancer that she had. And so she used up her house deposit. And now, 5 years later, after working so hard for 5 years to build up that deposit, she has to now be starting over again. Now, proper financial plannings mean that she could have transferred the risk of that critical illness from herself to the insurance company and still maintain their money, right? So always remember that it's just transfer of risk. Wherever there's a risk of loss, it's just transfer of that. Because remember, wealth is a system, and part of preserving that system is what? Life insurance. Because for you, if you have $10 million, right? Well, we're not going through that. We're going through that in examples. So let's continue. Next slide, please. So I just want to quickly go through that there should be rather the type of insurances, a few types of insurances. Now, when it comes on to insurance, I tell you, there are endless amount of insurances, and Mr. Clarke can tell you. But when it comes on to personal, we're looking at 5 key types of insurance. Life insurance, which is if you pass away, that money goes to your beneficiary. But there's much more to it than that. There's critical illness, and critical illness tends to be defined by the organization, and these things include such things as cancer, stroke. These are events that are likely to kill you. Doesn't mean that you're going to die. They are likely to kill you faster than you expect. But with proper treatment, you should be able to recover. Then there's personal accident, and that makes sense. If you slip and broke your foot or something like that, there's insurance for that. There's health insurance, and all we know this is what you give your take to the doctor. And of course, there's disability insurance as well. For your personal properties, there are insurance such as your car insurance, your home insurance. As I said, me take out, let's assume that the loan was $10 million for the bank. Me crash the car, me ain't have no money to fix the car. Me not have $10 million out of pocket right now to pay back the loan, and the bank requires that money right away. So the asset is protected because of insurance. And please, anybody inside here, if you're going to buy a car cash, we do not do third-party insurance. Third-party insurance is transferring the risk to you just the same because you are not covered. And it's from you to the insurance company. All right? So we don't do no third-party, nothing. That, I don't even know who created that. That shouldn't be a thing. But it's a product. It is there. Then there's home insurance, liability insurance. And liability insurance has to do with business. For example, UTech should have liability insurance, which means that if I'm walking and because these tiles are not done properly and I trip over this, they are liable to ensure that I receive some compensation. That's liability insurance. Then I'm saying they should have it. I'm not saying they have it. Don't take my word for it. Please, please, please. But if they don't have it, then they are going to stand the risk of financial what? Loss. You get that? Because they are not going to have to pay your bills. And then there's scheme and insurance, which has to do with business owners. We don't go through all of that tonight. We just go through the key principles. And so when you think about any personal property, whether real or tangible, there's another word for it in teach me in class, but I can't remember that right now. But when you think of any property, insurance is a must. Next slide, please. So there are some key things. Insurance does not create wealth. I know that probably sounds a little bit controversial. And the reason for that is, as I said, it preserves and protects it. Because wealth must already exist, right? So insurance must be in a planned system. And it says by itself, it is just money. And money isn't wealth. A man who wins $1 million, $1 million USD from the lottery, he has money. But there's no guarantee that he's going to be wealthy or he's going to create that, because that money is not coming from a system that is able to reproduce that. You get me? Next slide, please. I'll clarify some of these things. For insurance to be in your portfolio, wealth must exist. It must either exist in principle or in reality. In principle, it means that you have the capacity to generate, you are generating wealth. In other words, you are a money-making machine. I want to think about that. In life insurance, there's something called your human life value, which is the projected amount of money that you are expected to give back in a particular period of time. And all of us have that, right? Once you're earning, and that is key, that's one of the key things, because recognize that this person is a money-making machine. You are a money-making machine, and if you're a money-making machine, that makes you an asset to yourself, and an asset to your family, which means that you must be what? Insured. You get that? Now, a loss of income or asset, compromise, or worse, destroy the entire wealth building. And so, when I say life insurance does not create wealth, well, life insurance can add to wealth, but the wealth must be there already. If you're going to leave money for your children and they are not educated about money or anything like that, you're just destroying them. And that is not part of a system where the beneficiary, who now becomes a steward, is able to manage and control and run that system. But life insurance, once injected into that system, makes it better. Next slide. So let's look at some practical examples of life insurance at work. Now, I talked to you about the different phases, so I just want to quickly go through what life insurance looks at the different phases. At the foundation, so you're building your property. Once again, I tell you that wealth exists in principle. The building is not erected as yet, but you're going to create the building. And so we know that you have the capacity to know what? Create wealth, right? And so there's need for insurance for the wealth to be accumulated so it doesn't disappear. In other words, you have to build on something. So if you're going to build a $100 million house, you don't have the house as yet, but you don't have the $100 million house and nothing to protect it. So the first step is to ensure that before the $100 million house comes on place, there's that $100 million worth of life insurance. And we'll look at some other examples later on. As it relates to the accumulation, that has relates to the acquisition of assets. So once you begin to accumulate assets, you have to ensure that they are insured. So you're not thinking about car insurance until you buy a car. You're not thinking about house insurance until you buy a house. But insurance must be at the first and foremost. In other words, as you accumulate wealth, wealth and insurance walks together. One is the left and one is the right. Do you understand that? right? So you can't think about wealth and not think about insurance. When I talk about the preservation, having built your wealth, you want to ensure that all threats of loss are eliminated as best as possible. So critical illness, your life insurance, your property, all the types of insurance that we have spoken about before, right? And then your distribution. Now, distribution now has to do something called estate planning. These are a lot of terms we're not going to know, but as you grow in your financial journey, you will learn these things. Distribution now, just know, say, if your parents have property and it's supposed to be given to you, depends on how the laws are structured, whether joint tenancy or tenancy in common or whatever it is, it's going to cost you. You're going to have legal fees to be paid. You can ensure that all the money that you need to fund your planning and distribution of your assets is there in life insurance. So you can spend off all your money if you so desire. Because when you're dead, the money going to there to do whatever it's supposed to do with the assets. Do you understand that? All right? So let's look at some examples. Life insurance and income protection. So life insurance ensures that if you die, your family will suffer no loss. In other words, let's say that you earn, looks like you earn around 10 million per year minimum. Minimum wage, that's a minimum wage for a corporate man like himself. So he earns around $10 million per year, which means that his family is expected to have at least $10 million worth of income coming in to sustain, to pay the mortgage, to pay these things on an annual basis. If he says that, you know what, I want to provide for my child, his human life value calculation suggests that, okay, over the next, his child is, let's say, 10, and they want to ensure that the child is able to sufficiently finish university and live the best life that they want to live. So he's probably say, you know, my annual income is 10, I want to provide for my child for at least 10 years. So that's 10 times 10, which means that he wants to have life insurance of $1 million, meaning that there is no loss in the family income. And because his wife is smart and his child is smart, because we teach our children from their young how to manage money, that forms part of that system. And we put different things in place and structures in place to ensure that that continues. So once you're working and have a dependent, whether child or parents, and that is very important, you must put insurance in place to ensure that you're in. There are many different types and options of insurance, so we're not going to go through that. The best part is that you do not pay taxes for monies that you receive from insurance. So while you normally pay $2.5 million at least, minimum, well, about $3 million out of taxes for that $10 million. Yes, that is really heavy. You will pay no taxes on that. Say people receive a $100 million tax-free, and the government, right, which is beautiful. Next slide, please. And that is pretty much how most of our clients utilizes that. Now, life insurance and mortgage acquisition. Now, I'm going to use all my clients. As a matter of fact, I have around 3 contracts to deliver tomorrow. That the only reason why they got life insurance or additional life insurance coverage was because the bank requires that the mortgage be underwritten by life insurance. What do we mean by that? First of all, it is something called an assignment, a collateral assignment. This is not a collateral, it's a collateral assignment. Your university students, combination of terms changes things. A collateral means that if I don't do this, then I'm going to take that. But the collateral assignment is different. Under a certain specific circumstance, it is utilized. So if your mortgage is, let's say, $50 million, the bank is going to require you to have $50 million. And this is a law everywhere that you go. Because the bank don't have the legal problems of trying to sell your property. Next slide. Life insurance and cash loans. So this one is closer to home. So I have a client who every year, for the next 2 or 3 years, I have to write him $40 million worth of life insurance every year. And it's because he's building one of the new plazas in St. Ann. And to underwrite the loan that he's taking from the bank, every time the bank issues him a certain portion of the money, they have to ensure that it is balanced with the assets that he has. So if you are going to go into business, even though rich people don't talk about these things, it's because it's just a silent tool. No matter of fact, rich people don't talk about money. But now you know that that is part of the example. And most banks, if you're going to take a loan, sometimes above $2 million, $5 million, they will ask for you to have life insurance. If you don't have life insurance, they will peg life insurance as part of the loan, which goes as an additional payment. But we're not going to talk about that. So, next slide. So, finally, life insurance it says death is a powerful and final event. But because of life insurance, even though a man is dead, he yet speaks. All right, and that ends my presentation for you today.
So much. We can certainly do better than that. Put your hands together for Mr. Granville Knight. What a wealth of knowledge. Thank you so much, Mr. Knight, for coming to help us understand the importance of having an insurance, understanding why it helps to protect us financially, in case of unexpected events, illnesses, accidents, a way to safeguard us, our family and our assets. We appreciate it so much. We're going to take 2 questions, one from the audience, one from our online viewers. And online viewers, we know you're there. We recognize you. We thank you so much for joining us online. We're going to take 1 question from you. If you have it, you can place it in the chat. It will get to us, and we will ask it from here. However, we'd like to take one from the audience. You can think about your question. But before you do that, Mr. Knight, I have 1 question for you. And so you would have made reference earlier to a client that thought that, insurance no really make no sense. Would have heard it in the audience, that insurance is a scam. And so I have a question for you. Being that it is viewed as an unnecessary expense, right, until a crisis occurs, how can we shift cultural mindsets, especially in younger demographics, like us, from reactive to proactive financial planning when it comes to insurance for health, life, and income protection?
All right, I must say, thank you for the question. I must say, in reality, the younger generation is not the problem. A matter of fact, the younger generation, we are purchasing more life insurance and more types of insurances than the older generation, because the culture now is wealth. A lot more persons now are aware of what life insurance is. Especially for me, I have no challenge with selling my young people life insurance. The problem that I have are the older person who believe that, oh, if I have life insurance, someone going to kill me or the whole works. But what happens is that you have education, they don't. So part of what we do, especially as financial advisors, is to drive the education aspect of things. So when we go to different organizations and whenever we have persons with objections, we show them the principles, as well as we show them real-life examples, as well as how they can protect themselves from persons trying to unalive them because of life insurance.
Thank you so much for that. Do we have any questions in the chat? Do we have any questions in the... We do? We do. Thank you so much. The question is it possible to over-insure or under-insure?
Yes, to both questions. But no for the first. Life insurance is calculated on a needs basis, which means that when we come and we sit with you, there must be a need for life insurance in your portfolio. And that is why I said that you can't get life insurance if wealth does not exist. First of all, you must have an income. Right? If you are going to, let's say, insure your parents, there's a certain factor that is utilized where that is concerned. And so there are measures in place to ensure that there's no over-insurance. For the life insurance company also sets certain financial markers. And they say that these are the guidelines for this particular age group, for this income age group. So there are 3 things that the insurance company utilizes when they are calculating your insurance: your age, your income, or your assets, or a combination of all 3. So if your assets and your purpose for the life insurance don't make sense to the life insurance company, even if I propose to them that, hey, I'm going to insure for 30 million, when they do the financial assessment, they will say we're going to reduce that because there is not enough risk of financial loss in the portfolio. Because it's also so that's how we prevent the over-insurance, right? Where the under-insurance comes in play now, that's more of a choice for the person, because they're saying, oh, I just want some insurance to me dead, while not thinking about the full need. They're not thinking about how much assets they have to protect. They're not thinking about how much income that they need to leave for their children. And so we don't have a problem with over-insurance. We have a problem with persons not realizing that when I say to you that you need $40 million in your insurance portfolio, it's not because I like to sell big policies, it's because what is needed. For example, by the time many of you finish university, which is probably this year or next year, or to buy a home in 2 years, the minimum you're going to probably pay for a house is like $30 million. So you're going to need at least $30 million to underwrite that. And so it's easy. Do you see that? All right?
Thank you so much for that. Do we have one from the audience? We have another? We okay, let's take one from the audience. Good afternoon.
Um, so the question she asked is, what red flags should you look for if someone is trying to sell them insurance when they approach them? Now, first and foremost, no financial advisor is going to approach you unless you have income to afford life insurance. So the red flag is not on our side. The red flag is often on your side. So, and let's look at some of the red flags now that we look for as financial advisors. One, you can't explain the source of your wealth or your income, which means that if you can't explain it, it's quite illicit. And I'm here, I can't put illegal money into a system that is supposed to be serving the nation. You're putting me at risk. So that's a red flag. Another red flag for me is that I realize that really and truly you have no financial commitment. You could have all the money in the world, but if I realize that you have no financial commitment and you're not going to buy this, in church we used to do a thing like this. We say that if I have to shake the tree too hard, if I shake the tree at once, the ripe mangoes will fall. If I shake it a second time, probably the third mangoes will fall. If I shake the tree too hard, the green and the unfit mangoes will fall, and I don't want that. So there are measures in place. Insurance is sold, not bought. You will buy KFC later. You will buy your dinner later. But someone has to sell you on the need of life insurance, which is what I've done over the last 30 minutes, whether or not you know it. So all of you have bought life insurance already. I can promise you that.
All right, thank you so much. Let's put our hands together one more time for Mr. Grant. Mr. Knight, please don't go. Mr. Knight, please don't go.
All right, I invite our president, Mr. Roberts, to come, please.
So I have one quick giveaway. All right, so I want you to take out your phones. This is digital credits. Where are the line providers? The line persons? We have digital credit phones. All right, perfect. I want you to take out your phones. I'm about to give away a $200 digital credit. Online too, please to take out your phones. I'm gonna call out the number, and then I want to see who gets the credit. Please signal by saying it in the chat if you got it online. If you got it here, please let me know. All right, whenever you're ready, please to take out your phones. We're ready to go. After 2, 1, 2. The numbers are 582 568996 74492. Someone got it? I'm going to go again. That's 5825 6896 74492. Someone got it? Awesome. Alicia Smith, good job. Quick on the fingers. Thank you so much.
At this time, we'll be going for a quick commercial break.
define me, but how I treat you, that shapes everything.
Now I'm ready to do better. No more running, just learning and growing.
One thing I do, I write down everything I spend. That way, I know exactly where my money goes.
Don't save what is left after spending. Spend what is left after savings.
Every small investment matters because time is money.
Impulse buying, I pause that. Now I spend with a purpose, and it feels better.
Planning for the future gives me peace. Insurance goals, investments, and building security, not just savings.
We're learning to master how our money moves. Dear money.
Thank you very much for that commercial. Well, when I saw it, and I was saying, wow, great presentation. All right, it's time for our second speaker, and Tamelia Cunningham, she'll be introducing the second speaker.
What if your paycheck didn't disappear by week 2? What if your saving felt exciting instead of exhausting? Well, our next speaker is here to make that a reality. He's a sharp financial strategist who helps people turn everyday income into long-term wealth. With hands-on experience in retirement planning, legacy building, and smart money habits, he knows how to stretch a dollar and stack your savings. Get ready to budget like a boss and save with confidence. Please welcome Shamar Clarke. What if your paycheck didn't disappear by week 2? What if your saving felt exciting instead of exhausting?
So much.
Well, our next speaker is here to make that a reality.
Okay. I'm lucky and get away today. Because I heard that you're going to have some persons online, that is the only reason why there's a PowerPoint presentation that is going to be shown any minute now. In the meantime, and in between time, let's ask some questions. Now, did you enjoy the presentation just now? Made sense to you? So you appreciate the value of insurance? Big man, one to you. No. I'll drape you up after still, but I don't want to take enough time. No, try. It's not an attempt. You're talking about the number one. You're looking at the number one financial advisor in the Caribbean. Did you know? Careful. Careful. So let us go into the idea and the concept of budgeting. So I'm not on the stage today talking to you because I always did it right. I am up here because I made more mistakes than probably everybody in this room multiplied by 10. I will share a little bit of my experience, and as the young lady that introduced me said, some practical tips that I use to get out of brokenness. Now, you can put up all the things on this. Press again and again. Now, there are some principles to proper money management that is not utilized or not emphasized. This right here, sir, this word here, sir. Most people in discipline. Now, what happens is that we have the principles of financial planning, so we know exactly that we're supposed to, just like the advertisement say, you should what? Save before you spend, and not save after you spend. But that is not exactly how we do it. We try to put aside monies after we've bought the shoes, gone to the party, gamble with some mate. No, I see some of them in a couple, it's young people, it's shocking. Right, but the idea is that when you understand the principles of creating wealth or putting aside your money, you should maintain it. You shouldn't just start to say, all right, today is such a wonderful day, and we heard from good speakers, and let me start today. And then 2 weeks from now, I can't bother again. Indiscipline. That is one of the main issues that we have with persons. So through discipline comes what? Now, consistency is a funny word. I have a mentor, Dr. Henry Lowe. So he's one of the leading scientists in the Caribbean. Right? And Dr. Lowe is one of those persons that helped me to get to financial security. Dr. Lowe, we're going to a funeral on one particular Saturday. And I remember him saying, your generation, you guys are so indisciplined, so inconsistent. You don't have stick-to-itiveness. You decide that you want to start something now, and because you haven't gotten it, you stop immediately. No, had I continued along that path, I would not be on the stage with you today. And as I say, I'm going to share a little bit of who I am, so you can understand the principles that's required. Documenting and tracking. You would have heard from the previous presenter, GK, about documenting. He made mention of it being a reliable and a written goal. So when you're identifying exactly what your path is and how much money you want to put aside, what your plans are, you need to document it. Now, a lot of us are afraid of seeing the amount of money we have. You, my general, right, so we say insurance is a scam. When you go to the machine, when you draw the cash from the machine, do you look at the amount that's left in your account? Or you throw it away, don't it? Like most of us. We are usually afraid of confronting the amount of money you have left. No, that was me back in the day. I can tell you when me draw the money from the account, I just crush it and dash away. Because I'm hoping now when I draw the $3,000, enough the definitely come out. When me hear the money start spinning on the machine, I say, all right, I win today. But there has been times when I've gone to that machine and press it and I've reduced the amount I'm going to until I realize I have $200 left and you know where it go. There were those days. Thank God I broke out of brokenness. But there are some things that you need to do to get there. It's painful, but you need to start. No, you can. Which one are you? Dash. So there are 4 elements to money management. Continue. Bring up all 4 of them, man. Because I know there's another speaker and I want to stay and listen to her before I go to my other presentation. Now, budgeting. This is considered to be the cornerstone of financial planning. So regardless of the other financial principles that we're going to be looking at or mentioning, right? If you don't budget your money properly, you're going to fall in problems. Now, somebody tell me what is budgeting. What is budgeting? From anyone, presenter, you. What is budgeting? Telling your money where to go. I like that. As a matter of fact, come, just change the page. Go, move faster. Yeah, man, press it again, man. And again, too. Yeah. So, this is a fancy little simple way of defining budgeting. But what she just said a while ago is exactly what I want everybody to remember. Say it again for them. Tell your money where to go. That's what you said, right? Say it again, let me hear. I see him some here. You say, tell your money where to go. Telling your money where to go. So the idea is it's a process of creating a plan to spend your money. Sounds the same, don't it? Or similar? The spending plan is called a budget. Now, what people have is not usually a budget. What they have is a cash flow. So they identify your earning in January. I say you earn $500,000. Yeah? At the end of January, you dictated, you wrote down where you spent the $500,000. And at the end of February, you do the same. And at the end of March, you do the same. So guess what? When somebody asks you, do you have a budget? Of course. What you have is a cash flow. You'd have identified where you spent the money, but you did not tell the money where to go. Now, budgeting is like the security guard at your gate. Now, think about this scenario. What's your name? Wayne? Wayne, which way you live, Wayne? Spain? I'm not going to feel it's all right. Who live up to? Where you live? Yeah, where you live? Smokyville, see it? Uptown. My friend that I just met in Smokyville. So what if Sunday morning now I decide to link up my brethren them, and because I find out which part of Smokyville she live, I just go in her house, cock up in her living room and start demand food. What if she doesn't have a security at her gate to tell her that Mr. Clarke is at your gate? Because that's what the budget does. The budget stands at the gate now to say, listen, what's your name, my friend? Guyana? All right, Diana. So Diana is home. I met Diana last week, and Diana said, me must come to her house. This Sunday, me and my 3 friends them come eat. No, there's no security, so I just walk in, open my door, and then in your house. Inconvenience, yes? But because I'm there already and you have a good heart, you go take care of me. But what if the security was actually there to say, no, Diana is not home? You can even say Diana Steffi tell us that she's not home. The idea is that you use a budget as your structured security guard to ensure that unplanned expenses don't seep into your finances. What happens is that you plan that you want to purchase a property. So because you know you want to buy the house, you know you need to have your deposit and your closing costs and things like that. But other things that become nice for you. You feel like you want to buy it. I see a John Hardy piece. You know them something here? There's some bracelet, 4,000 something US. And I decided that I was going to buy it. No, I had some plans that I wanted to do. I mean, I had some trips last year that I wanted to go on. But the John Hardy piece is $600,000 what I never planned for. Now, if I buy that, it meant now that I'd have to put off some other things that I want to do. I had to sit with my wife. My wife's an accountant, by the way. And she worked out for me the best one that I had to leave alone. And you know what it worked out to be? See, it's still in the palm of my hand. Because what she was saying to us is that we're going to be sticking to our budget. We're preparing to purchase another property. You're going to take out $600,000 when we have to pay the attorney fee. And you want to take more money from your investments or from your savings. I said, no. Because when we put our money, we leave money alone. Fresh cash. Let us continue along the presentation. Why do you think it's important to budget? Presenter. As a matter of fact, host. Why do you think it's important to budget? Never know, nobody gonna pick my today, no? Me know, man, I say go. Why do you think it's important to budget? The presentation will not carry on until you answer. All right. I can accept that. Let's just go back to it. So when we go back to it, we'll see an entire page of it. No. So. Oh. Continue. Well, go back. I just realized something. Now, if you don't budget properly, most of the goals that you have set for yourself will not be realized. You would have planned that you wanted to finish school, you wanted to purchase a property for your mother, you wanted to clear off your debt, you wanted to buy a car, a second property, your first property. You want to ensure that your children go to the proper school or any plan that you have. You want to retire. No. Retirement, you'd have heard it mentioned when I was coming up. It's one of my pet peeves. Most persons in Jamaica don't retire well. When we get to retirement, we're still forced to have to work. So you find that you ask them why that happens when you discuss it with them. Because remember, you don't only learn from listening to people that have done it the right way. You also learn from people that have done it the wrong way. How many persons know somebody that is in retirement now that cannot properly stop working? Everybody know people rich. I mean, rich people don't know. I know a gentleman that's in a nursing home, well, a golden age home, and having a discussion with him. I asked him why him did it, because he looks so strong and sturdy, and you know what I mean? The gentleman says he's getting a pension. But the income that he's getting from his pension is not enough. It's not sufficient to take care of any bills. So he has to now live in a golden age home. So when I was breaking down some things for him, because he's an ex-police officer too. So I was saying to him, nobody approached you about supplemental investments or retirement saving. Say yes, but guess what? He never secured money. What he did was spend a whole heap. Him girl out enough for him money. Does that make sense? Budgeting ensures that you'll always have enough money for the things that you need and the things that are important to you. If you're going to retirement, sit with somebody that's a specialist in retirement, find out exactly how much you need to be putting aside so you can secure the amount you need for retirement. If you know you're going to be purchasing a property for $30 million in 2 years, how much do you think you need for the deposit and the closing cost? Average amount. How much? Let us work with percentages. 20% on average, yes? Now, because the government would have reduced the amount that for the new properties that you can pay for the deposit, which is now 5%, you can now say about 15% of the value of the property. So if it's 30%, 15% of 30 million, how much? 4.5 million. So how fast you get to it? I never could have wait little. But $4.5 million. Now, if you're going to plan that for over the next 3 years, how much money is 4.5 over 3 years? That's a 1.5 per year? How much money is that per month? $100,000. Look at us to make it easy. So you need to put aside $100,000. Now, what if you were able to put aside in your budget? Somebody looked stressed a while ago. So what if you were able to put it aside in your budget, the $100,000, and you started to do it in the first 3 months, but because it feels a little painful, you stop for another 3 months. And then some months you put $50,000 because some months you have some party to go. And then another 3 months you feel like, and then some of your friends come borrow the money, you lend them some. And then sometimes you don't feel, yes, you feel nice, you feel for something nice, and you don't want to go anywhere in Jamaica anymore, so Panama. So you and your friend go to Panama and come back, and then Panama is so nice, you want to go damn rep. And because, so when 3 years time now, and the 4.5 is needed, you look and you say 1.2 million, who you cost? You can't beat a bank, don't it? And you say a scam, don't. The idea is that we understand the principles and know what we're supposed to be doing, but we don't do it. There's nothing that I can possibly say up here that you don't already know as it relates to budgeting. Agree or disagree? You know how much that you're earning and you know how much you're supposed to be spending. What you need to be doing is putting under suspect the amount of money that you're spending. Most persons, their expenses are not necessary expenses. You're spending things and you think it's necessary, but because you've gotten accustomed to it. You don't need to go a China garden every week, 3-4 times for a week. You know how I made a pair of shoes? Huh? You know. I wish Boston would they buy the shoes, don't? Yeah. Huh? Boston would they when we see the shoes, I like it and it got purchased. Yeah, 3 years I beat this one. Mark you add the shoes, but you buy a good one time, you know? There are some specific things, and I hope you're picking up as you're going along. I left the University of the West Indies after my black school, 2012, and decided to work with Dr. Lowe. Now, I was earning at the time $85,000 per month. Now, I had a hot girl in my life them time there. My wife still hot now, but them time there, young and fresh. But watch me now. To keep up with the Joneses, and your friend them were left high school and university at the same time where they were, some of them are in a better place than you initially because you know them father and mother set them aside. But because you're popular and you're a hot girl and you're working a good job, you want to look like them. And by look like them, it means I need to drive. Need to have a nice car. A nice car. How much you think of the monthly payment for the nice car I'm going to buy? No, I'm more than wicked to myself for 85,000. 42,000, close. $50,000. $49,974.50. I will never forget it. You can't ask me how much for the X60 or the Raptor when I drive now, no. But I can tell you, the $49,974.50 was the most painful thing I paid them time there. But guess what? I feel like I look good. But let me explain to you some things that I was not able to afford because I wasn't budgeting properly. Pay attention. The car AC stopped work. After 2 months, say please act like the room here. Every single day. Someone lick me. I remember. I'm telling you, embarrassment will reach you. Some of the consequences of not budgeting properly. Embarrassment will reach you. I was at, you reach already? I was at a stoplight. I remember one particular day. And the gentleman pulled up beside me. And I remember I was doing this in the car. So he was looking over to me to say, like, something wrong with him. Remember, I can't turn on no AC. At that time in my life, everybody that came around me, I told them that I just didn't like AC. That was not the problem. I was driving around permanently with a little check engine light on it. Consistently. Couldn't buy gas. Regular, I used to buy $500 gas and $1,000 gas. I God made the car crash. I'm nearly dead. And insurance rescued me. Because the car was insured at least. What a scam. What a scam. Let me just run through the rest because I think I might just wrap up in like 3 minutes or 5 minutes, 4 minutes. All right, cool. Now, how do you actually create a budget so you don't make these mistakes? Put everything on it. So first, you need to make the decision that you actually want to start. Yes? See it there. Decide that you actually want to start. Then you identify the income from all sources. And you notice I said from all sources. All sources. Some people getting money from some other sources. Yeah? Make sure you document all your sources and then put your expenses down. Yes? Your expenses are not necessary. All of your expenses are not necessary. You need to identify what are your necessary expenses. Now, identifying the money goals is essential. Why are you saving? Why are you budgeting? Is that you want to buy your first property, your second property? Is it for retirement? The same thing that we had a discussion about before. What are your money goals? Do you want to pay for your tuition out of pocket so you don't leave school and have SLB on your back like I had? What are your money goals? Yes? Know how much you have. Know how much you have meaning you need to assess your net worth. What is your net worth? What you own minus what you owe. It's essential for you to understand this. And then this part here, so pay yourself first. 1/10 of all you earn is yours to keep. Does anybody know where that line came from? It's originally from the Bible, but it is popularly promulgated in a particular book that I like to share. Who said it? I heard it. Richest Man in Babylon, somewhere about the place. The Richest Man in Babylon is a book that showcases financial principles that it is easy to help you to budget, to save, to invest, to think about. The idea and the concept of insurance was also mentioned in the book. It's a book that was written from Wapia Kill Philip. Track, monitor, and be disciplined. Now, this is the part that we fall down. You see the word come back again? Disciplined. You need to be disciplined. When you identify exactly what you want to do, ensure that you get it done. And consistently do it over and over and over and over again. Remember, most of us we were not brought up with the conversation about money in the household. So when we're having these conversations, yes, it sounds fun to have the discussions, but just take it from just having fun to do some practical things. I'm telling you, I was broke beyond belief at one point in life. I will never forget it. Pray to God I never see it again. But let us continue. I'm trying to wrap up quickly. What is it? Okay. So important items to include in your budget that should not be neglected. Look here. What are they? Good. Supplemental retirement savings. Good. Traveling and trips to resorts. Don't ever say me never tell you no say you not go anywhere. No. I'm just saying, just make sure your frequent trips and traveling does not stop you from your actual money goals. Make sure it's budgeted for. Every area of your finances can be budgeted for. For me like car. So I might not, I travel when every other year I do a whole heap of traveling. But my wife likes the traveling thing. So she drive anything she wants to drive. Me like nice car. That's my comfort. So I put it in my budget as my entertainment. Yes? Identify. Your budget is not supposed to make you feel like you're in prison. It is not supposed to make you feel like you're in prison. Remember, you create the budget for yourself, you know. But create it based on your money goals, recreational expenses. You see, come back down and say again, two fun part. You need to, while you're saving and living your life, you need to be enjoying some of your monies too. Carry on. I'm soon done, man. I'm soon done. Carry on. Now, this part of it is easy. And then I'm done. What is saving? Read it for me. It's simply saying, once you've identified how much money you're earning, how much money you're spending, what your money goals are, you can now dictate exactly how much money you're putting aside. That's a simple thing about saving. They asked me to discuss about budget and saving. I'm not going to into much detail. Skip through so they can see the rest of the slides, and then we're going to be through. Emergency savings, this is something that's the last thing I want to talk about. These are savings that you need to understand exactly what it is. I'm going to teach you a formula that you need to share with your friends. Now, tell me how much money is supposed to be in your emergency savings. 6 months what? 6 months of expenses. Where you get the expenses from? The budget. You understand? And if you get to investments and you're trying to identify how much money you're going to be investing, where you get the amount of money from? You see, so everything links. So you're going to get you get the money to invest from your savings, and you get the amount that you can save from your budget. Good. It's a multiple of your necessary expenses. So your necessary expenses is in your budget. Then your seasonal expenses. How many times per year? School fees start. You know when exactly where you're going to need school fee. You know when insurance are going due on the property and on the car and everywhere at all. But you wait until 2 weeks before school open. I said, geez, I'm paying school fee due again. Put it as a line item within your budget and save it. Now, if you cannot do it, it simply means that you're living above your means, which happens to a lot of people. Go on. I'm just going to show them something and I'm gone. Come. Tips to save money, put it on. Pay close attention to prices when you're shopping at the grocery store. Avoid impulse buying. Never be ashamed of living within your means. That part is important. Oh, no, nobody do this again. Nobody take lunch to work and school and them something there. Oh. Okay, sorry. Consolidate debt where possible. That's a conversation. It's a one-on-one conversation that you need to have with a financial professional, because you can consolidate your debt and it puts you in a worse financial position. But the last one on the list, never be ashamed of living within your means. That is something that everybody needs to pay attention to. Don't try not to try to keep up with the Joneses. First and foremost, the Joneses don't like you, they don't know you, they don't care about you. When you're in debt, all them want is laugh after you when you're in debt. You understand? So don't try to keep up with the Joneses. Never be ashamed of living with means. Nobody remembers when you had one shoes when you have 100,000 later on. You understand? That's the idea. No. Done. No. This is a lot. I'm not going to go into this. This is done. The only thing I'm going to be saying now is thank you for your time. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Clarke. Do not keep up with the... All right. Thank you so much for helping us to understand the principles of budgeting and their discipline, consistency, and documenting. And thank you so much for helping us to understand that budget ensures that we will always have enough money for the things that we need. Thank you so much. Let's give him a round of applause. All right, we're at the section where we ask for questions. Online viewers, persons here with us. We have any questions online? Not as yet. Persons here with us, do you have any questions for the presenter? It was clear as crystal. Nice. A topic here kind of did stress me out, me not lie. I was pretty stressed sitting down here. All right, I have a quick question for you though, Mr. Clarke. All right, so in an environment where inflation consistently outpaces income growth, how should individuals reframe their understanding, of wealth? And what strategic adjustments should they make in how they save, they invest, and how they spend?
Thank you for that question. It's a powerful one. Everybody understand the question? Everybody understands the question? Oh, no, understand it? Yeah, I know it's all. Let me tell you what she asked me. Your money is losing value consistently every single year. What can we do now to prepare ourselves for this loss of capital? What should we be doing to prepare ourselves? What can we do about our savings and our concepts towards investment? Sound clear now? All right. So what we mean now is that you understand that the value of your capital is going down, but you can't do much about that. What you can do is be proactive in terms of where you put your money. The idea is to have your money earning at a higher rate than the rate of inflation. Now, all of your money cannot be earning ahead of inflation. There's a fraction of it that will be earning that amount. So that is the amount that you can afford to risk a certain amount. So that's where you look at tools, financial tools like your stocks, your unit trusts. Every now and then you hear about the IPO or APO, you can purchase it. This is now where you partner with friends and have businesses. No, there are a certain amount of your capital that, even just think about it this way, you're not saving anything. So if you're not saving anything, you're setting yourself back, yes? the money that you're saving, once you get to a certain amount, so your emergency fund is now fully funded, you can allow that money to be rolled over in CDs, and I'm sure you're going to be talking about some form of CD later on. So you tell the bank, literally tell the bank, say, hey, I have $1 million and it's just sitting there, just roll it over. So it is a safe type of investment, and it reduces the impact of inflation on your dollar, right? So it reduces the amount of money that you're losing. So the idea is to make sure you seek out knowledgeable persons, knowledgeable institutions, reputable institutions to be able to invest some of your capital. There are informal areas that you can put your money in to make it grow, but we'll talk about it another time. Good?
Thank you so much, Mr. Clarke. Do not move. We have a question from our online viewers. You may go ahead, please. What are some strategies that university students can take while paying off tuitions? All right, that's the question.
Okay. All right, so being a graduate of the university and somebody that helped to fund, well, I mean, pay myself through school. One of the strategy, I hope you're earning who the person that asked the question, to find a way that you can earn some capital while you're at the university, all right? Structure your days that you don't necessarily, if you're not living on campus, structure your days where you don't have to come in every single day for classes. So you can come in 1 or 2 days. So you can at least find some additional work hours for that. When it comes on to, for that person, reach out to me on IG. There's some other stuff I want to share as it relates to that. I know, but they're prompting at me at about the time. Huh? Yeah, man, I don't can reach out. But here, all right, here, let me tell you from now, here what I do. When I do it now, so I can make my assistant schedule the call and them thing there. So do it now. Thank you.
All right, don't move. All right, Ms. Jada Walters will be coming to show our appreciation to Mr. Clarke.
Thank you so much, Mr. Clarke. Let's put our hands together again for him. Thank you so much for coming.
All right. We have a dynamic founder of Sign Clubs of Jamaica, the first runner-up in the 2025 Miss Clarendon Festival Queen competition, and a proud ambassador of the arts. She's got the voice, the passion, and the stage presence to match. And tonight she's here to woo us. Please welcome the multi-talented Zante Thomas.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. All right, so fun fact about me, I love money and I need money. So if you love and need money, I need you to say money, money, money. All right, nice. So I love your energy and do I have to? All right, so I'm being told I have to go up here. All right. Nice. So I love your energy and participation for this fun little song. Or yeah. Money, 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 ha, ha, ha. Money, make you take laugh like a Santa. Money, ha, ha, ha. And money, 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 ha, ha, ha. Money, make you see like a Santa. Money in a pin pan. Money, money, money make me fun. Touch me signal. This spend today. Anti-Gwen. Our weekend. Breathe. Let me hear you. Money, money, money. Money, make you take laugh like a Santa. Money, money, money.
Like a Santa. Give me money.
Investments.
Them a give me money.
Money movers.
We a spend money.
Laugh, we a laugh and I spend money. Laugh, we a laugh and I spend money. What's under my nose?
DJ like my money, ha ha. My money, ha ha ha. That was wonderful. All right, our president, Mr. Roberts, will be coming to show our appreciation to Ms. Thomas. All right, we can put your hands together, show appreciation to Ms. Thomas.
Or just a quick break before we move on to the program. I just want to pause a little bit just to acknowledge our sponsors. Our sponsors, Grace Kennedy Limited. We truly thank you for your support. We commend Grace Kennedy for being more than a sponsor, for being a true partner in nation building. Please join me in giving them a big round of applause. Our second sponsor, Beans and Media Design, who are the creative force behind our event streaming and audio production. Give them a round of applause. And third, Legacy Studio, we recognize you. You're handling all the photographic coverage for this evening. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. Give them a round of applause, please. At Mellow FM, who has been so instrumental in conducting the interviews, the media coverage, just to ensure that persons could hear us from the airwaves. Thank you so much. Give them a round of applause, please. Voda Foods for blessing us with their amazing delicacies to ensure we're well fed after this event. Thank you so much. So we thank you so much, Grace Kennedy Limited, Beans and Media Design, Legacy Studio, Meta FM, and Voda Foods. Thank you so much. We continue.
Thank you. All right. There is a cartoon that I used to watch named G.I. Joe. Yes, man. That means I'm about a long time. All right. And the captain of G.I. Joe, you know him normally say, knowing is half the battle. I always say, what is the other half? The other half is to put what we know into practice. All right. You know, and I've been sitting and I've been feeding and I'm write a whole heap of stuff. Right. So we're moving on to our third speaker. And Winston Allen will be introducing our speaker. Our Weston Allen.
What if you're
Devrhoid baby. Credit scores, interest rates, and financial freedom. It all starts with understanding credit. Our next presenter is the Assistant Manager for Financial Risk at Jamaica National Group and co-founder of Caribbean Valley Investor Corporation. He's a certified expert in financial modeling, commercial credit, and wealth planning. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Devrhoid baby. Credit scores, interest rates, and financial freedom. It all starts.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, it's night now, so good night. All right, so whilst we wait for the presentation to come up, let me just ask one question. How many of us, if any, were told when we're growing up to avoid debt or avoid credit? So no borrow no money from nobody. Yes? All right, so my goal tonight is to help us to understand what credit is. I'm going to give you some practical strategies for managing debt or credit, and I'm also going to share with you some tactical steps that you can put in place to actually start to build your credit from now, starting tomorrow. I'll give you tonight to think it over. While the presentation comes up, just a brief anecdotal story. So I, much like you guys, would have been taught not to use debt. Don't borrow no money from the bank. They might come take the house, all sort of things. It was my mentor that actually shifted my perspective to understanding credit, understanding debt, and using it as a tool for building wealth. We can go through. All right, you can continue. All right, so you've heard the introduction. I'll tell you what's not on the slide or what wasn't said. You can go to the next slide. Shamar would have spoken to him making all of the money mistakes that you can think of. But I am almost 100% confident that I have made more of them. They're on the screen. So I got my first credit card coming out of university with a $50,000 limit. Indiscipline, inconsistency, wanty led to that running up to $600,000. Took out a personal debt to start my own business. Business crashed, $2 million. Got behind on my student loans. Almost went bankrupt, was literally on my way to the courthouse to file it. Hounded by debt collectors, some of my best friends today. We're going to talk about that. But I'm also the person that was able to communicate with my debtors, negotiate settlements with all of them. I was successfully able to refinance about $3 million of debt. I was able to fully pay off all of my creditors. In fact, I overpaid some of them. Paid off my student loans and subsequently secured about $1 million in a credit card limit. So we're going to talk about how I got here. My objectives for this evening, we're going to firstly understand the different forms of credit. We're going to look at how we can use credit responsibly as a tool for building wealth. We're going to look at some effective management strategies. These are the things that you do if you end up in my situation, where you get into trouble, you get behind on the debts. We're going to look at how you can build a strong credit profile starting this evening. And then I'm going to leave you with my 10 commandments for credit management. So let's go. What is credit? In one word, debt. Credit simply means debt. It is the agreement that you sign with a person or a financial institution that says, I am going to take this money from you, these are our terms, and I am going to pay you back. So we talk about who you can get credit from, and let's look at the example. So you have business loans, you have personal loans. You can go to the next slide. We have credit cards, student loans, personal loans. We talk about my history with some of these, the car loans, and consolidation loans. One of the presenters earlier would have spoken to how that can get you into further trouble. We're going to talk about that. So let's look at the differentiation now. So I learned through my mentor, Mr. McLean, that there are two forms of debt. There is good debt and there is bad debt. Good debt is any facility that you can take that is going to improve your financial situation. It's the debt that you use when you are building wealth. So the examples are your education loans, a mortgage, a credit card, or a business loan. But we must use them responsibly. And if we don't, some of these can end up being bad debt. So the examples for those, if you go to the next slide, the credit card that we use for the wants to buy the Balenciaga, the payday loans that we take out so that we can jet off to Damrip, the hire purchase loan, and the credit that we use for the other luxury items and the vacations. So here's how we can assess whether the debt that we are looking at is either good debt or bad debt. There's a few questions you can ask yourself. Number one, will this debt create value? So am I taking out a loan that is going to put me in a better financial position? When you take out your student loans, as much as it is frowned upon and some persons try to avoid it, I would not be here today had it not been for the grace of Clarendon College and student loans. Second, can I afford to make the payments associated with this debt? Will it have a negative impact on my well-being? So when I take out the $600,000 credit card, am I going to bed every night? Can't sleep because I see the limit at $595,000. So these are the questions that you want to ask if you're going to identify whether the debt is good or bad for you. And it can be good for you in terms of your financial well-being or your wealth, or it can be bad for you in giving you them sleepless nights. On the next slide, we're going to talk about how a bank or any person really assesses whether or not you're a good candidate for debt. And this is known as the 5 C's for credit. Number one, we want to assess your character. You're not going to lend your friend the money if you know for a fact. So when John borrow money, you're never going to see it again. You're not doing that. You want to assess the capacity to repay. So does John have a job? You want to assess capital. What does John own? Does John have collateral? Are there assets that he can pledge as a security? And then, of course, what's his financial and economic condition? What are his personal circumstances? Your credit worthiness really is a means to assess whether or not you are a suitable candidate for debt. And there are few metrics that, you can skip, there are few metrics that companies or organizations will use to assess this. The main one is known as your credit score. What's your credit score? Your credit score is simply a numerical metric that shows persons your credit worthiness. So it tells you whether or not you are a person that we can lend money to, and reliably, consistently, you will pay back under the agreements that we would have signed. Generally, if you have a high credit score, it's going to mean better loan terms for you. Naturally, if you have a lower credit score, you're going to get the higher interest rate, you're going to get the shorter repayment terms, etc. How does the bank determine your credit score? We're looking at 5 things, and most of them relate to the 5 C's that I spoke to earlier. We want to see your payment history. We want to know how much of the $600,000 credit card you've been using. So did you use 99.99% of it? That tells me something about you. I want to see the length of your credit history. And this is why I'm going to share with you some tips that you can use to start building your credit today. Next, we want to look at recent applications. So who else have you borrowed money from? And then another thing about your credit report, if you go on the next slide, there are 3 credit reporting bureaus in Jamaica. And from each of them, you are entitled. Once you have a TRN, you are entitled to getting a free credit report from each of these institutions. So now we understand debt. We understand the different types. We know that there is good debt and bad debt. Let's look at some of the strategies now that you can use to manage debt. The first one is that you can maintain a good credit behavior. So if you pay according to the terms, we know that you are a good candidate for managing debt. And that allows you to access even more debt, probably even at better terms. And that's where you get into using debt to build wealth. Other strategies that you can use, and I'll walk through 2 quick examples of these. There's a debt snowball method and the avalanche method. And then lastly, I'll speak with you briefly about debt consolidation and give you the warnings about that too. So let's go on to the next slide. I would have spoken to this. So few things that you can do. You can go back. I'll just quickly run through them. Number 1, if you have a credit card, under no circumstance, do not be me. Do not let the credit card run up and that financial institution increase the credit limit, you run it up again, they increase it again, and you're gone up again. Ensure that your utilization stays below 30%. This is important. It is one of the key factors that the credit reporting bureaus look at when determining your credit score. Another thing you want to do is you want to understand the language and the math of credit. So you want to understand what terms like amortization mean. That just means how the money comes down until the debt pay off. What is a moratorium? That just means that you get a holiday from making a payment. What does reducing balance mean? Anybody here have? No, let's not do that. But for student loans, your credit is on the reducing balance. That means as you pay down, the amount that you owe and the interest on the balance gets less and less. Another rule that I have is for you to always pay more than the minimum. So never only pay the minimum balance, never only pay the interest. Otherwise, you will never get out of debt. Use lump sum, so gifts, work and travel money that you might earn. Use these additional sources of income or monies to reduce your debt rather than doing what I did and buy 5 NFTs at $1 million that ultimately are no worth cents. So don't chase risky, unprofitable investments. Pay your creditors before the due date. I can tell you that this step, number 5, paying the creditors and having the conversation with them, is why I have developed such a good relationship with my creditors to the point where I was able to get out of debt. Had I not done that, I wouldn't be the person presenting to you today. Other credit management tips that you can use. Shamar spoke about budgeting and doing so consistently. So always, who was it that said? Tell your money where to go. Build an emergency fund so that you won't have to return to high interest debt in the instance where you encounter an emergency. Seek out ways to increase your income. This is going to enable you to pay off your debts much faster. And then lastly, as your credit score improves, seek better and better terms for your credits. So if you have a 40% credit card, you get your free credit report this year and it says that your credit score has improved from 570 to 680. You can now approach another financial institution armed with that information and say, look, I have a high credit score, I am a diligent payer, so can I get a facility at a reduced interest rate? And oftentimes they will oblige. All of this starts by making a plan. That negative 1 million, that is me over there. You want to start by analyzing your debts. Make a list. Who do I owe? What's the amount? What is the minimum payment that I need to make to this person? And then determine which debt management strategy you're going to use. This, of course, includes the one of being a diligent payer and a responsible user of credit. So let's quickly run through the debt snowball method and the debt avalanche method. This is what you're going to use if you get into trouble with debt. So the debt snowball method, it's one of the simplest methods of getting rid of debt. And basically what it focuses on is clearing the smallest balances first. You see why you can't do this without doing the first step? Because you first need to know who I owe, and you need to know how much I owe them. If you know that, then what you can do is you can make a plan to gradually reduce your debt by paying off the smallest sum first. Let's look at an example of that. If you go to the next slide, you can jump over this one. Let's say you have 4 loans. I had many more than that, but we're not talking about that anymore. Let's say you have a $50,000, $100,000, $21,000, and a $32,000 credit facility. Based on what I said about the snowball method, which one are we attacking first? Still with me? We're talking about debt snowball method. We're approaching which one of the debts first? The smallest one. So we're going to tackle debt number 1. So we're going to look at that $21,000 debt. And here's the strategy. What we're going to do is we're going to continue to make just above the minimum payments on all of the other debt facilities. You see, if we have $10,000 to put towards these debt facilities, here's what we're going to do. We're going to pay $4,100 for debt number 4 there, so the 100,000. We're going to pay $2,200 for the other one, and we're going to pay, say, $1,100. Every other money that we have now, we are throwing it against Mr. 21,000. Quick time, 21,000 gone. And then what can we do? The next best step. We're going to take all of the money that we were using to pay off Mr. 21,000 and tackle Mr. 32,000. Applying this strategy consistently, diligently, eventually you find that you are reducing your debt. So let's look at another method, one that can give you more peace of mind. It's called the debt avalanche method. And this method basically looks at the interest rate. So if I have the credit card from that other blue institution, which I did, at 45%, and I have a personal loan at 22%, I have the car loan at 12 or 18%, and then I have a money that I borrowed from a friend all day in here that him said, Devrhoid, now give me no interest, 0%, right? The debt avalanche method focuses on the highest interest rate first. So if you go to the next slide, so here's what I've done. I've itemized all of my debts. Again, step 1. I want to write down everybody that I owe and the amounts. I'm also adding the interest rate here. And my focus is to tackle the credit card number 1 there that has the highest interest rate. If we go to the next slide. So the avalanche method is great. And the reason for that is because it gives you the motivation, and it also gives you the peace of mind knowing that you are getting rid of the most expensive debt that is burdening you at any point in time. If we continue through. The last strategy I'm going to share with you, and I'm getting close to finishing, is a debt consolidation strategy. And let me give you the caution for debt consolidation. Debt consolidation is like a saving grace. It is where a financial institution, after assessing you, this is what happened to me, so I'm passionate about debt consolidation, and I'm appreciative of it. It's where they look at you and they say, Mr. Davis, how have you been performing with your debt? The $3 million we owe to Tom, Dick, and Harry. Then they say, okay, we see that you are of good character. You've been communicating with your debtors. You've been letting them know that the business sunk. And they will say, let us look at your current financial condition. Can you make payments on this loan if we are to extend to you a credit, give you a relatively clean slate? What they will then do is they will take all of the loans that you have. They will give you a new loan to pay off all of the existing facilities. And you will now just have this one loan that you will need to pay back. Oftentimes, this might even mean a reduced payment in terms of the amounts that you are having to spend to clear debt. Here comes the caution. You cannot take a debt consolidation loan and maintain the same attitude of running up debts. You will be forever in the cycle of debt. And for you, debt will become an anchor and not a lever. So this is a process for the debt consolidation loan. We talked about that. You notice I'm running fast because I want to hear the next presenter. All right, so we talk about that it will usually result in small and more manageable monthly payments. And I cautioned you about the debt cycle, so don't get caught in the debt trap. Let us now look at we're jumping this. We're looking at the 4 steps now that you can use. Having given you the caution, I am now comfortable sharing with you 4 strategies that you can use to start building your credit worthiness, to start putting yourself in the position to utilize credit as a lever to build wealth. The first one, and this is something that you can all do, I'm sure. Like I said, they have tonight to think it over. You can start to establish relationships with multiple financial institutions. How much is it to open an account with the Blue Bank and the Red Bank? It's lower than that. You can open an account with $2,000. So you can start building those relationships. That's the first step. Here's a benefit. When you are ready to access credit, you now have multiple facilities that you can approach. I'll give you one better. If you are armed with your credit report, here's what you can do. You can go to Red Bank and say, Red Bank, I want 5 million. How much can you offer me? They'll say, okay, I'll give you a 22%. But Red Bank, I have a 680 credit score. All right, I come back to you. I go over to Blue Bank. Blue Bank, I want 5 million. How much you can offer me? Red Bank said they will give me 22%. Blue Bank said, no, I love your credit report, 18% for you. And that is the benefit of having multiple banking relationships and establishing them early. The other thing that you can do, don't do what I just mentioned and go to Red Bank or Blue Bank for 5 million when you're just starting out. Start to build a relationship with smaller amounts. Ask for 20,000, 50,000. I have it in my account, but I want to start building the relationship. So you take out a $20,000 loan, probably to buy a book or some stationery for next semester. Blue Bank said, okay, you're doing a cash secured facility. Here's the thing. Your debt now is not going to cost you 22%. We're going to give you at 7%. Another benefit. Here's another strategy that you can use if we jump over to the other slide. And this one has its caution as well. But you can become an authorized user on a family member's existing facility. So if you get added to daddy's credit card or you get added to mommy's credit card, that's going to start to build that relationship. You want to be cautious here because if you decide to employ this strategy and the person is not of good repute, their capacity, their collateral, their character is in question, this could ultimately have implications for you. Another thing that you can do, you can start to, I call this one adopt a bill. So some utility companies will report to the credit bureaus, the blue one and the red one. right? So if you are supposed to get a postpaid, it's postpaid now? Yes, it's a postpaid plan. You can start to build your credit because with every payment that you make, that's going to be reported to the credit bureaus, establishing you of good character. So 4 strategies. Let's jump to my 10 commandments. All right, so we can read them. Commandment number 1. You know how to do that now? So there are a few questions we're going to ask. Number 2. Why? Because you don't want to be the old Mr. Davis that runs up the credit card to the 50,000, then to 200,000, then 600,000, right? And you want to make sure that remember the credit utilization is a key input for your credit score. So keeping it below 30% allows the financial institution to look at you and to say, yes, Mr. Davis, Miss Hansel is of good repute. I can trust her by lending her this 500,000. Number 3, thou shalt pay more than the minimum amounts due. Number 4, thou shalt understand the language and the math of credit. So understand what APR means. When they tell you they're quoting you the effective interest rate, go and understand how you convert effective interest rate to real interest rate. Thou shalt check thy credit report annually. You get 1 free. So this commandment, easy to follow. Thou shalt diversify thy credit mix responsibly. Another thing that they use in determining your credit score is the mix of your credit. So you have a credit card, you have an unsecured facility, you have a secured loan that you're paying, and of course, having the multiple financial institutions as partners helps you in doing this. Thou shalt treat debt as a lever for building wealth. Case in point, number 1 is your mortgage. That is a perfect example of how one can use credit or debt to build wealth, because as you pay off your mortgage, that money is going towards something we call equity. You're building equity in the asset, in the home. Number 8, thou shalt negotiate better terms and lower rates, always. Thou shalt communicate with thy debtors if thou falls into financial trouble. This is a mistake. Do not think that if you're in financial trouble, you cannot have a conversation with your creditors. I'll tell you this. If you owe the bank $1 million, you have a problem. If you owe the bank $1 billion, the bank has a problem. So you need to communicate with the bank so that you can get to that level where you can say, bank, we have $1 billion, the payment short this month, but we are going to work it out as partners. And number 10, and this one again is personal for me, thou shalt not use credit to buy stocks. And this is coming from the guy who is the biggest advocate for the stock market. But this is one way to guarantee that you basically lose money. And I'll tell you why. Just in closing, this is literally the last slide, but I'm going to tell you why. Aside from the one-off situations where a stock goes up 100%, 500%, I'm sure you haven't seen that happen in the last 3 or 5 years. Aside from that, the typical return that you see on stocks is about 10% per year. Check what the return on the JSE was for last year. Check what the return on the NASDAQ was for the last 5 years. The cost of your credit, the cost of debt is almost always going to be higher than the returns that you're making from the stock market. And that is why thou shalt not use credit to buy stocks. I thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you so much. Thou shalt not use credit to buy. Great. And how much percent should you keep your credit utilization below? 30%. Awesome. You guys were listening. Nice, nice. Thank you so much, Mr. Davis, for that insightful presentation, for helping us to understand that the importance of credit management, that it isn't just about lending and collecting. It's about maintaining financial discipline and building trust between the lender and the borrower. Thank you so much. Let's put your hands together for him. Do we have any? We have 2 questions online. Thank you so much. We'll take it. How do we request our credit scores?
Thank you. I love that. Practical question. Love them. So I do it every year. So again, happy to tell you. So you are going to go to the websites of, and you can put up the slide with the 3 credit bureaus. There is Everydata, there is CREEF, and there's another one. You simply need to find their email address, send them an email letting them know that you would like to request your credit report. They will tell you what the requirements are. Typically, you will need to provide them with an ID, a credit report form, which you will find on their website. And once you submit those, they will take, I think it's between 5 and 7 days to return the credit report to you. There's another question? Okay, sure. Yes. That's a great question. So the 30% is the 30% utilizations means that if I give you a credit card with $100,000, you're not supposed to use more than $30,000 out of that. All right? Now let me address the loan issue. With the loan, we don't have a utilization metric. What we have is something called your total debt service ratio. All right? And what that means is that there is a percentage that the financial institution is going to say you can get credit, but the payment for the credit must not be more than this amount. 30% is a good rule of thumb to use. However, for most financial institutions, the TDSR, which is the total debt service ratio, they will stipulate is between 40 and 50%. Let me add just a bit more context to that. If I take out a $5 million loan for, let me go simpler. Let me take out $1 million for 5 years. The cost of that is going to be about $20,000 per month. Okay? If that $20,000 that I am paying should never be more than 30, I'm using 30 again, but remember it can go up to 40 or 50%, should never be more than 50% of my income. Is that clear? So if I'm earning $100,000 per month, if I'm sticking to that TDSR of 40%, it means that I cannot take out any loans that is going to cost me more than $40,000 in terms of the payment on a monthly basis. Clear? Okay. Sure, sure. I see a question. Oh, sure, Mr. Knight. Yes. All right. I'm glad you add that context. All right, so two things with that. Number one. Oh, sure. So the question has a bit of context. It is that for most financial institutions, they will not consolidate student loan. So what is being asked is strategies that a student can use to get out of arrears with student loans. All right? We're clear, right? That's it. Okay, good. So there are a few things that you can do. Number one, if you are consistently, if you're starting out with this plan, where I say you must start by tracking how much it is you owe, then you won't end up in the situation where you forget about SLB. And I know SLB, them are going to call you. So you're not going to forget about them. So that's the first thing. So what are the strategies now to employ? We can use some of the same ones that I mentioned earlier. We're going to, one, seek to understand where we can find additional income. We're going to choose a method that we're going to use. So are we going to go, if they won't consolidate, and I'll say that my bank consolidates, but if they won't consolidate, let us look at either the debt snowball method or the debt avalanche method. And so we can look at student loans. Student loan is typically one of the lower interest rate debts, about 9 to 12% depending. 9, all right, great. So here's what we do with student loan. Once we have an income, if we don't have an income, we find an income. That's the first thing, all right? We're going to approach student loan, establish the relationship. We need to get back in good graces. We need to have a conversation, talk to them, let them know what the situation is, tell them that you took the loan, you got rich in the second year and was able to pay off it, and you forget about it. You never see the email because you stop use it. But you realize that you have this debt to them, and so now you're approaching them to address the matter. Student loan is not going to refuse any money that you give to them. That is the first thing to know. But what we're going to do is, in applying the strategies, we're going to see how much of the amounts that we are setting aside for debt consolidation can we now, not for debt consolidation, but rather for debt repayment, can we start to allocate to the arrears. So we're going to treat the arrears as another debt facility and start to make payments towards that. I'll give you one better. You can look at the debt at the arrears as your lowest interest rate debt and apply the snowball method to it, where you just, whatever additional you have, you throw it at the arrears. We're getting off of that first. And besides, we want student loan to look at us and say, yes, Mr. Knight is of good character, and I can rely on him in the next case and come for another $1 million for doing masters. Fair?
Thank you so much for the questions. Thank you, online team. We appreciate you. We now invite Ms. Jada to come and give the presentation. Thank you so much, Mr. Davis. You're most welcome. I have one quick giveaway before I take my seat. Let's get the phones out. Oh, I would like to know if there's anyone on the online platform that are Flow users. Please, I have a Flow credit. It doesn't look like anybody in here uses Flow now. You do? All right, I'm going to give away a Flow now. How many of you in here use Flow? All right, let's get the phones out. We're ready to go. All right, and the number is 112-321-320-32934. Oh my God, I'm so sorry about that. Anybody got it? Yeah! You see, I'm so fair. She's quick on the fingers. Nice, nice. Well done. Here you go.
All right, at this time, we'll be having a Voxy prop by Shanique Thompson.
I have a Vox Pop. And guess what? I have 2 more credits to give away. So, digital, that is, guys. Don't worry about it.
Everyone, my name is Shanique Thompson, a facilitator here at Money Movers. And today I'll be asking 3 persons the very hard question. What's one thing they wish they understood about investing? So come on, let's find out. We're here with Gabriel. And what can you tell me, Miss Gabriel?
Well, for investing, I've always heard it, broadcasting everywhere on the media, invest, invest, invest. But what I don't understand is the risk and the potential outcome of it all. Because, I mean, if I'm investing a certain amount of money, I want to know that I'm getting a return on my investment and there's no risk where all my money will go down the drain and I'm getting nothing. So I just need to understand that and, we'll start in the near future.
Thank you very much. Let's find out more about what persons don't understand about investing.
I would say I understood how the actual process works, how investing on a whole level, on a general concept works.
I don't have nothing. I don't invest. Because the reason why I don't invest is because the way the economy is right now, and I'd rather spend my money now than wait till I get 62 years old or older to spend my money. So I'd rather spend my money now.
Thank you
everyone.
so much.
My name is Shanique Thompson, a facilitator here at Money Movers. And today
So at this time, I want to welcome our 4th presenter. So imagine finally understanding investing without all the confusing jargons, feeling confident about where your money goes and how it grows. Our next presenter is here to make that a reality. As a senior business reporter passionate about personal finance, she transforms complex money matters into simple, relatable advice. Please join me in welcoming the brilliant, eloquent, and downright inspiring Codi-Ann Barrett. Please make her welcome.
That's so sweet. Okay. So first, I want to say I'm not a licensed financial advisor, so I cannot financially advise you. Nor am I a licensed investment advisor, so I cannot tell you what to invest in, which is a question I get all the time. People DM me, what should I invest in? How can I flip my money? I'm like, I don't know. I am, as she said, a senior business reporter. I've been reporting on business news from 2018. Had no idea what I was reporting on. Reporting on the stock market, I had no idea. Until I landed in a job working for print. And you see, print, serious business, and a hanky-panky business. And I was determined to not disappoint my supervisor and to prove myself. And so I went down this rabbit hole of reading financial books and learning how to invest. And I met a wonderful lady named Keisha Bailey who taught me everything I now know about investing. Which, by the way, I don't know everything about investing. Investing is so huge, you actually never stop learning. And new things are happening every day that you have to learn. So, I am a stock market investor, but there are other types of investments, and investing is one of the ways that you can build wealth. Most people will tell you real estate, and yes, that is true. You can build wealth from real estate and use that property to acquire a next property and go on and on and on. But how many of us have money to even buy a property? How many of us are struggling to save up the deposit to buy their first property? It can be daunting. You know, you want to invest, you want to build wealth, and real estate is so expensive. It's a high barrier to entry. But stocks is where the small man and the small woman can get to cash in and grow their wealth. And a lot of people for a long time thought investing was only for the rich. And the reason is certain information was only privy to people who had an investment broker or a financial advisor, which most small people, when I say small, I mean middle class or lower class people never had, because you'd have to pay for them. They were expensive, right? So it seemed like investing was for rich people because they had access to the people who could give them the information. But now everything is literally at our fingertips. You can get information about how to invest anywhere online, and you can also seek out reputable people to help you, and you can find a licensed financial advisor within any brokerage house that should teach you. And it's not always the case at every bank, but you can find 1 and 2 good investment advisors out there. All right, so next slide. So what is investing? So investing is the act of putting your money into something such as a business, real estate, or a financial product with the expectation it will grow over time. So when I say investing, you know, people probably think the stock market only, but going to school is an investment. Stay in school, kids, right? Starting a business is an investment. Buying real estate is an investment. Even prioritizing your children's education is also a form of investment. But the main type of financial investment that we have here is real estate, bonds, stocks. And as I said earlier, real estate has a high entry barrier. So let's go to bonds, which, by the way, with real estate, it's now becoming more accessible because they have unit trust real estate. My mic's not working. They have real estate unit trust, which allows you to be able to invest in real estate indirectly by putting your money in a pool of funds with other people, and then the bank or the brokerage firm use that money to lend to real estate developers who build up all of these things that we're seeing everywhere. And then when they make a profit, they pay back the bank, and that's how people who buy into real estate unit trust gets a little profit from that. Bonds, I think of bonds as low-risk investment because bonds are debt. But the debt is the business asking the public to lend them money, and they pay you back with interest. That's how bonds work. And then we have stocks, which is my playground. Stocks is the name for businesses. What we're doing, we're investing in companies. Can you fix my mic? Testing, testing, we're good. Okay, next slide. So what's the difference between saving and investing? Because investing is a form of saving, but it's not the same. Earlier, one of our presenters talked about inflation and beating inflation. Testing, testing, beating inflation. Currently, the inflation rate is 5%. It means that if we are saving and we're not putting our money to work, and you save up a whole heap of money and put it in your bank account, every year your money devalues by 5%. And this inflation rate changes every year. But for Jamaica, we're trying to keep it between 4 to 6%. That's the aim. With saving, you're putting your money, you can press play on this video. You're putting your money in a savings pan or underneath your mattress. Some people want to still do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And it only grows if you put more money on it. It's not working for itself. But with investing, what happens is, press this video, your money basically grows by itself, and it creates baby monies, because these plants, they grow, and then guess what? The fruits will be smaller monies. So basically, you put your money in an asset, and those money make baby monies. So now we have more money without having to physically work for it. How does this work? I use Trans-Jamaican Highway as an example because it was one of the best performing stocks last year, over the past 5 years, actually, since it listed in 2020. I'm using just $10,000, and I hear people talk about $10,000 is so much money. Oh, who will find $10,000? I use it as an example. You can start investing with any amount of money. As a matter of fact, when Trans-Jamaica listed, it listed at $1.30, and this is Jamaican, which means You could have buy any amount that you could afford to buy, if even $5,000, $2,000, and start. Over time, the price of the stock increases. This is not always the case, but this is why we're investing. We want to invest in stocks and assets. These are assets, companies, that will grow, appreciate the price of it over time. Think of buying a house. You buy a house for 20 million today. Next 5 years, next 10 years, it could worth 40 million because it's an asset that appreciates. Stocks are assets that appreciate, and it can depreciate. It all depends on the performance of the company. Can you press on here? So this is a dollar cost averaging calculator that I love to play around with. This is from My Money JA. Now, if you look over here, this $10,000 is what you're going to be investing every single month consistently. Not a $10,000 one-time payment, every single month. And from 2020 to 2025, you'd have invested a total of $647,000. In other words, you'd have basically saved up $647,000 just by saving in a regular savings account. You would have bought over 366,000 units, and because the price of the stock went up, these units are now valued at $1.3 million over the course of 5 years. You cannot do that saving. You cannot save your way to wealth. And if it is that you want to buy a house, it might be risky, but you can invest towards the deposit for a house, which many people have done. And that can be the catalyst for you to move from stock market investing and go into real estate investing. Baby steps, like you go to school, you do GSAT, and then you do, oh wait, sorry, I show up my age, PEP, and then you do CXC. Oh, okay, we're in the same age group? Woo! Thank God. Oh, okay, so basically, you would have gained 686,000, more than 686,000 on your investments. Now, how does compound interest work? There's a saying that says compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who knows it earns it, and he who doesn't understands it pays it. Can you go back to the previous slide? Yeah, click on here again. Right. The truth is, money is made from interest. That's how money is created. The banks create money by lending you money, and then you pay them back with interest. That interest is how money is created. You want to be in a position where you earn that instead of paying it. You earn that by putting your money in stocks that will appreciate, and that appreciation is the interest that you're making on your money. So in 2020, this is that really breaks down how much money, how the interest works, and how compound interest works. $10,000, you're not going to invest the exact $10,000 because it depends on the price of the stock. If the stock costs $1.35, you can't really invest the whole $10,000. So this is how much you'd have invested, and you'd have accumulated over 7,000 units. Now, the price went down. Those same units are now worth the same amount, right? But you'd have purchased more. So you purchased 7,000 more again. So now you have 14,000 shares. Value is now 19,000. And the more you invest is the more money you gain over time. So that's how the compounding works. And it depends on the price of the stock. And of course, the price of the stock will fluctuate. It will go up, it will go down, go up and go down. It really depends on your investment style and your risk tolerance that will determine whether or not you stay with a company or ditch it. You can go to the next slide. Back. Yep, so earning interest on your interest is what we do when we invest in stocks. And a lot of people will try to time the market by saying, this is not a good time to invest because the economy is not good, like we heard the man said earlier, right? The truth is, when everything is down, that's the best time to start. Because you want to enter the market when everything is low and cheap. Because we're stingy. We don't want to spend too much money. We want to earn the most money So we want to buy in when everybody else is out. Smart investors run to the stock market when everybody runs away from it. And they know, you know the song that says, you better know when to fold up, know when to hold up. All right, when things are going too good, might be the time for you to clock out, okay? All right, next slide. Okay. Oops, guess we're having some challenges. Oh, the previous speaker before me, his last commandment was, do not borrow to buy stocks. Right? Thou shalt not. Right? I agree with him. Investing has its risk and it has its benefits. The smart thing to do is to save, wait on an opportunity, and then invest. One of the things that I learned from Michael Lee Chin is if you're uncertain, save up your money and wait on a crisis. When a crisis occurs, the stock market plunge. When the stock market plunge, everything is cheap. The money that you're saving up, you can then invest that and buy more shares with less money because everything is cheap. These are data from the Jamaica Stock Exchange that I requested. In 2024, this is the top performing stocks. Blue Power Group increased, the price of the stock increased by as much as 79%. It means that if you were investing in Blue Power, if you were smart enough, lucky enough to be invested in Blue Power last year, you'd have gained 79% interest on your money. The truth is, nobody really knows which one of these stocks are going to perform so well. If we knew, then I guess we'd all be rich, right? So, Wigton, runner-up, 75%. Why is this so significant? Why is this so important? Because I mentioned it earlier, inflation is 5%. So you want to put your money somewhere where it's going to grow way past the inflation rate. So an investment that is above 5% is good. All right? Any investment that gives you more than 5% return annually is a good investment. Next slide. So we have the top declining stocks of 2024. And at the top here, Edufocal, they lost 75%, which means if you were investing in Edufocal, maybe you had believed that, you know, what Edufocal do? They do online classes. If maybe you believe that that's where we're going, that's where the future is. Unfortunately, Edufocal didn't perform so last year. And if you were investing in Edufocal, then you would have lost 75% of your money. Scary stuff. This is the reason why we don't borrow to buy stocks, right? We have to understand what we're doing and we have to be prepared and counter losses when they happen, right? And not be upset with anybody, all right? And don't go and run and invest in anything because everybody talking about it. Do your research, understand the risk involved. So whenever anything happens, you're not so disappointed because you knew, right, what you were risking, right? All right, so I want to give you an idea of how the Jamaica Stock Exchange has been performing over the past few years. I have from 2014 here to 2019. You see this dip? We're going to talk about it. But from 2014, and this is a representation of the entire stock market, the entire Jamaica Stock Exchange, all the companies on the stock market, on average, this is how they performed. So from 2014 to right to 2019, the Jamaica Stock Exchange saw, on average, an increase of 400%. Obviously, not all companies would give interest, but this is an average representation of all of the companies add up together. Now, what happened from 2019 to 2020 was COVID. This is what you call a bull market. Anytime the prices of stocks on the stock market go up by 20% or more, it's considered a bull market. When the prices of stocks drop 20% or more, it's called a bear market, which is actually the best time to invest because everything is cheap. So what happened is in 2020, from March 8th to March 2022, the entire stock market declined by 20%. Scary stuff. And it took a long while before the market picked up. Actually, it was last year that the stock market started to pick up back. So, not to make you feel like, you left out or anything, but yeah, you should have started long time ago. All right, next slide. But it's still, every opportunity and every time is the right time to invest. So how do we get started with investing? One of the things I hear people talk about all the time is everybody tells you to invest and nobody shows you how to invest. All right, so the reason why is because you need to go and open up an investment account first. In that investment account is what allows you to invest. You won't be able to understand until you actually open up the investment account. These people want to understand everything before taking the steps. Open the investment account, and then you realize what everybody's talking about and how it works. So you choose a broker. There's a lot of brokers. I couldn't list out all of them, but these are some of my top favorites. We have JMB, Barrett, VM Wealth, Proven Investments. There's also JN. I love that bank. And you open your account, and then you start investing, but we're going to diversify our portfolio because, as I said earlier, investing is risky. Imagine you put all your money in one company and something happens to that company. Then now you lose all of your money. That's not smart. Don't do that. So you diversify, and diversification really means putting your money in several different stocks in several different industries, so that you're playing it safe. So if one company is losing, you might be gaining on the next one that offset that loss. So you don't feel like you really lose anything, right? But if you put all your money in one company and the company fails or something happens, then you're going to be crying. You're going to be like, oh my God, investing is so stupid. It's not. You're the one to blame. So we have different types of stocks. When we're going to diversify our portfolio, we want to have different types stocks in our portfolio. So here are the different types of stocks. We have growth stocks. These are companies that are expected to grow well over the market. How we know this? We look at companies that are popping up everywhere. You might hear of a company, they just open up a new store this and then open up a new store this and then open up a new store this, and now they're expanding to a different region. Growth stocks. Those are companies that you should have in your portfolio, but these are higher risk stocks than, say, a blue chip. A blue chip stock is companies that have a strong, long track record financially, and they're in a strong long-term growth industry. Think of Carib Cement. When you think we're going to stop using cement to build house and buildings? So Carib Cement is what we call a blue chip stock because it's in a strong long-term industry. Now think of Grace Kennedy. When do you think people are going to stop eating mackerel? I don't know. So I love to use those two companies as an example. So if you're a low-risk investor, there you go. You just get two stocks you can invest in. All right, so we have income stocks. These are companies that pay regular dividends. So if you're somebody investing for passive income, then you're going to be looking for companies that pay dividends. And dividends are basically a portion of a company's profits that they pay to shareholders. And you get these dividends depending on if the company even makes profit. If the company don't make any profit, they can't pay you any dividends, all right? And then there's exit stocks, which are companies that you should actually try to avoid because they're no longer profitable, they're losing market share, they're pivoting frequently, and they're struggling to sustain revenue growth. So if you see a company that is doing something else, and I'm going to do something else, and I'm going to do something, trying to stay relevant, red flag. All right, so what to invest in? I can't tell you what to invest in, but I can help you to identify good companies to invest in. We're looking for companies that have a strong brand or product, consistent profits, meaning that the company is still generating money from the products that it sells, and it's managing its operational cost. It pay the staff, pay for bus driver, pay everybody, and still leave over with some money that they can use to even pay shareholders. That's a profitable company. It signifies that people still want the product. And if people still want the product and there's still a demand, then the company is still in the green. You're going to look for a company that pays dividends if you're somebody looking for income. Not everybody invests for dividends. Some people invest for capital gains only, which is the appreciation, the interest. You're going to look for companies that have a low debt level because we talked about debt. Now, you wouldn't want to invest in your friend that is deep in credit card debt, right? And guess what? Our companies on the JSC that use that to look lavish, just like people. And yeah, like people who buy car and go up on vacation and they say, oh my God, them have money in, is debt. And you have companies on the stock market that takes debt to make themselves look better than they actually are. Strong long-term growth industry, I mentioned that. Strong leadership. One of the things that people skip over when investing is they don't look at who leads the companies that they're investing in, and that is very, very important, because if you have a crazy person running a business, then your money, you're going to be doing crazy things with him. All right. Your own understanding. If you don't understand what the company does, do not invest in it. How are you investing in something and you don't know what the company does? You don't know what them, you don't even know about them there. All right, positive developments. You pay attention to the news and you listen when the companies that you're interested in investing in, or the companies that you're already investing in, are doing good stuff, expanding. You know, they're making new location, or they're going overseas. They're spreading they're going into the regions. These are positive developments. So pay attention to news. Stable price. So when you're going to invest, look at the history of the price of that stock. And if the price of that stock has been stable, meaning you want to see this, right? You want to see it's going up and down, but it's going up and down in an upward direction. You don't really want to see this, right? When we see this, it's an indication that that company is in some troubles and it needs to figure out what's going on, fix its problems before you put your money in there. Customer loyalty, also important. Whatever company that you're investing in, how do they treat their customers, and how do their customers think about them? How satisfied are their customers with their service? Because if customers are not satisfied with the service, they're going to go somewhere else. And if they go somewhere else, the company's going to lose profits. And if the company loses profits, you don't get paid. And if you don't get paid, the price of the stock goes down. So you lose on every angle. All right. Market diversification. Invest in a company that is, if it's a new company and it just come on, it's not going to be able to do this. But listen, if the CEO says, we're thinking about expanding to the Caribbean region, we're thinking about going to Latin America, we're thinking about going to the US, to Canada. Why? Because Jamaica has 3 million people. You cannot get rich selling to 3 million people. So market diversification is very important. They need to be selling in other countries where the population is much, much larger, so they can make more money, so that I can get more money in my pocket when they pay me my dividends. It's really a selfish reason, to be honest. Yeah. All right. Revenue diversification, which ties into market diversification. If the company is making money in Jamaica only, then they're not going to make no money. They need to be making money from other regions. Next slide. We have a thing called thematic investing, which, this is how I invest. This is selecting assets based on the big picture, ideas like technology, climate change, aging population, clean energy, or emerging markets. What do I mean? You want to position yourself in a company that is up and coming, that is in an industry that has the potential to be the next big industry. For example, renewable energy. Every day we hear Andrew Owners talking about renewable energy. So if you don't have some renewable energy stock in your portfolio, you're already behind. Next slide. So managing risk, what are the risks? We have high risk, which is high potential return, but also loss. Low risk, it's safer, slower. And your risk tolerance, it depends on your age, goals, and income. So a high risk investment would be those new companies that you don't really know nothing about and have a good track record, you don't know anything about it because it just come on stream, and you're taking a high risk by investing in a company that maybe you believe in the company, you believe in its growth, but it doesn't have any track record for you to be able to assess That is a high-risk investment. A low-risk investment is safer. It could be saving in an high-interest savings account as a form of investing. The interest is going to be small, but you're guaranteed to get that little interest. Bonds is also a low-risk investment because you're guaranteed to get back your money with a little interest. All right, next slide. So, the best time to invest was yesterday. And the next best time is now. They told me that I have 5 minutes, so I couldn't go into risk too much. I have 3 minutes? Okay, let's talk about risk some more. How do we know which company is a risky company and which one isn't? You have to listen to the news. It's very important. You cannot invest without paying attention to the news. You can't do one without the other. It's like they're married. So you can't do one without the other. Imagine you come Jamaica and you see everybody I use plastic bag, right? The plastic bag was the norm. Downtown, supermarket, everywhere. You go in your granny house, not a drawer full of plastic bag. Plastic bag was the norm. So maybe there was a company making plastic bags and you say, yeah man, plastic bag, that's in a strong long-term growth industry. Everybody use plastic bag. Make an invest in the plastic bag company. Then bloop. Government say they're gonna ban plastic because of environmental reasons. But how will you pick up on that before everybody else? Listen to the little knockings. The first news is there are concerns about pollution of the environment. First red flag there. But if you're not watching the news, you're not paying attention, you're not thinking about how will this affect the stock market, then you miss out. And then you lose money, and then you vex. Yeah, because you're not paying attention. So you have to listen to the little knockings before major announcement like, we're going to ban it. Right? That's how you pick up on things. So one of the risks is changes in law, policies that can affect the stock market. Changes in leadership can affect the stock market. Natural disasters can affect the stock market. Imagine you're investing in Jamaica producers that makes banana chips and a hurricane come and wipe out them entire banana farm. Then guess what? Jamaica producers will not be able to make banana chips, so they will not be able to make money for a while. So we have to now think about, is the issue that the company is facing, is it a long-term issue? Is it a short-term issue? That is what you use to determine whether or not you sell or stay. Something like a hurricane, mash up the farm, you can hold out, hold out till the banana them grow back now. Where you going, so hold out, man, have like a faith in the Jamaica producers, yeah? But let's say the company has deep financial issues and is signaling that it's going to file bankruptcy, and you don't come out, stay and find out, right? So investing is not as hard as people think it is. It's actually really simple. But the problem is a lot of people don't connect the dots. We listen to our friends, we watch the news, but we don't use that information to put towards thinking about investing, right? That's the only difference. The only difference between a good investor and somebody who is just investing just for investing's sake, a good investor listens to the conversations of their peers, the conversations of political leaders, and listen to what's happening globally to help to make their investment decisions and sound investment decisions. You can't do one without the other. And that is all.
Thank you so much, Ms. Barrett, for that insightful presentation. Us to just understand that investment is crucial. It's a crucial part of building wealth to secure a financial future and achieving long-term financial goals. All right, I'll just take one quick question. Do we have any? Okay, you may go ahead. I have one here.
Senior JMB. $25,000 to open the investment account. Yeah. Any more questions?
Hello? Okay. Do you believe in people that make courses to teach you how to invest? And should you put your money into that?
That's a personal decision. I mean, I also teach investing. I took a pause, right? Because I'm working on some stuff. But that's a personal decision. It really depends on you. You don't have to because the information is free online. It's just that some people like the hand holding, right? So it depends on your learning style. If you're somebody who you can go and you can purchase some books and you can Google up some stuff and you can read and figure it out on your own, no, you don't need to. But if it is that you want the extra assistance, then yeah, but it's a personal decision. That's it? Okay.
Thank you so much for the questions. We'll now invite our president, Mr. Percival Roberts, to come with the presentation. Thank you so much. Give her a round of applause, please. And so we're almost at the end, but before we take our seats, we want to thank you so much for allowing us to be your events host this evening. It was our pleasure. And before we go down, I just want to acknowledge and to big up again our sponsors, Grace Kennedy Limited, Beans and Media Design, Legacy Studio, Mellow FM, and Voda Foods. Thank you so much for making this event possible. I'll now invite Ms. Alicia Hansel to come with the vote of thanks, and then after which our President Percival will come with closing remarks. I also have 2 more credits to give away, so I'll work out how you get them after, all right? Thank you so much.
All right, good evening, everyone. On behalf of Money Movers 2025, we want to extend our appreciation to you for being very patient with us. We started a bit late, but you were very patient. And we were looking to get out of here at 8:30. We are 4 minutes early, so I am not going to delay you any longer. Want to also extend appreciation to our lecturer. She's not in just now, but I know she's online. Mrs. Diana Shakes. Diana Shakes. Miss, me know that you know, miss, that I'm tired. We also want to say thank you to our presenters for taking the time out of their busy schedule to be here with us. Even though we weren't, they were willing to be a part of this seminar. We also want to thank our students or colleagues or classmates who were unable to make it, but they're online. Want to thank our in-person classmates. And most importantly, we want to say a big thank you to all those who are in person and who have been patient and who have been energized, even though we don't have no food or no keep up energy. So on behalf of Money Movers 2025, we want to say thank you very much.
Good night, everyone. A night it has been indeed. I want to say thank you for joining us today. We've covered a lot from insurance to budgeting and saving, credit management, and investing for beginners. And today, we hope that you leave with greater clarity. We also hope that you leave with confidence, and we also hope that you have the control over your financial future. Remember, financial wellness isn't built overnight, but it's built with consistency, knowledge, and a plan. And you definitely will get there. So stay smart, Stay focused and keep investing. Thank you for joining us today.